Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, Capital Markets Analyst and host of your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today we've got Katrina Glogowski. She's an angel investor and attorney. We're going to be taking a look at Convectium, a pitch deck. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thanks, Josh. It's great to be at the World Trade Center this morning.
Live at the World Trade Center in Seattle, looking at Convectium, a pitch deck. So company overview, they were established in 2015, headquartered in California. Convectium is a leading hardware equipment provider for automation solutions in the cannabis and CBD industry. Convectium has adopted new recurring revenue business model supported by technology innovation and strong partnership. So their fiscal 2018 revenues is $6.6 million. Driven by new business models. They have global supply for customers, 15 new team members. So they're not laying people off. They're making revenue. They're about automation. I like what I'm seeing so far.
Automation is a big issue. We've talked about cost of goods sold before. Got to get it down.
So we're going to be looking at 7 tips to a successful investment deck, being identify the business plan goals, know your audience, understand the market, identify needs and roadblocks, know what sets the business apart. Do they introduce the team and products and create a summary? So they're involved with everything from seed, grow, harvest, extracts, refining, testing, filling, capping, packing, distributing, and selling. So their business model is adopting recurring revenue-based model, supporting that technology innovation with strong partnerships to maintain a leading position in machine design and innovation, generating robust recurring revenue, and distributing the best quality cartridges by partnering with leading cartridge companies. So they're focusing their automation mostly on the vape market, which is smart. I think concentrates are one of the largest selling segments. Pre-rolls are probably the number one SKU, and concentrates as a category are huge. And the problems with that is filling it, the cartridges, and then twisting, putting the caps on it. And so just a couple of years ago, these things were all hand done. So being able to automate that, I think, is going to be huge, considering that these are big sellers, whether it's CBD or THC. Vape carts are all about convenience. If they can get that price down through automation, you're hitting the 2 biggest targets for consumer decisions, which is it convenient and is it affordable?
Agreed. It's a big problem in the industry.
So they have fiscal year 2019, and then they're looking at 2020 and 2021. So looks like revenue and EBITDA margins are decent. They had $6.6 million, I believe, already. They're expecting up to a 50% increase in revenue by next year.
Josh, it's great to see actual live financials, and it's amazing that this company actually had revenue. We don't actually see a lot of companies with revenue, so way to go for them. I'm happy to see that.
Yeah, with somebody who actually who's not afraid to put in some revenue figures is good. Most people are afraid or unaware that Obama passed the Small Business Act, allowing for decks to have this information and not be worried about violating what's called Rule 144A, limiting accredited investors to only non-accredited investors to 35 people annually. So with that, people can put figures in. I would encourage that. Definitely helps to get the full picture of your revenue stream and profitability, and making investors and other people in the industry want to reach out and contact you. If you're not making money, nobody cares.
I got to tell you, investors love numbers, especially real numbers. It's the way to go.
They have the highest productivity in the industry, 60 times faster, more accurate than hand filling machines, 7 times more productive than the next comparable filling machine by competitors. And their what Convectium Shark filling machines can fill 100 cartridges in 30 seconds. Versus 15 cartridges in 30 seconds. So their increased productivity leads to lower costs, and utility costs to produce the same amount of output versus the competitors.
This is great news, Josh. Again, as you stated, a lot of folks were doing this by hand, which created a lot of failure rate for the carts in the retail market and negative consumer experience. So consistency, automation, great. I'm liking it so far.
We haven't got into the rest of the deck, but I can only imagine that being able to save money through automation will allow these companies to reallocate some of that capital to education. With that vape debacle, the hardware that was, if you buy cheap hardware in China, chances are it's been soaked in diesel, and so that will leach heavy metals. And then with the advance of nanotech, that nanotech is crossing the blood-brain barrier and bringing those heavy metals with it. And so there's a lot of health concerns from hardware. And if people can spend a little bit more money on better hardware using automation, then they can educate and sell. It's very, very difficult to educate and then sell. So reallocating some of that human capital to be able to do that is going to make them a going concern long term.
Especially after the vape gate, as we're calling it, education and credibility in the industry is going to be paramount.
Huge. So they have automatic filling machines, and they're comparing the competitors versus what was done even before that, which is hand filling. So they're looking at disruptive rack trays. So they have a recurring revenue stream with pre-rack trays to disrupt the innovation in the cannabis and CBD industry, to add significant benefits for its users. So you order and received an empty tray with cartridges fully loaded. So you load that tray onto their 100. So you load that tray onto their machine, and that will be filled in 30 seconds. So you repeat the steps 1 and 2. And then after the end of the day, you can ship those empty trays back to Convectium and reorder and receive new trays. So it is kind of a proprietary system. You're going to have to deal with Convectium. Hopefully they stay in business. Otherwise, that's going to be an issue.
But here you see the razor and the blade model. Here, have our very expensive machine, but you got to get the trays from us. Again, investors love that. It's recurring revenue than just selling the one-off on the machine. So good on them.
It's kind of like Amazon basically giving away their tablets so that you download all their movies and apps and buy from them. So the machine should essentially be free, like Amazon's tablet, and then everything you use and buy through that is where the revenue is from.
Yep.
So it's a decent model. They have significant time savings, cost reduction. The cost of a plastic tray is 1/30 of a traditional metal tray. Provides a better workflow for automation. High frequency order of trays generates robust cash flow, recurring revenue. So they're partnering with some cartridge companies to deliver the best quality, safest cartridges.
What's interesting to me here, Josh, is in this graphic, they're showing both the traditional 510 carts and the pod carts. That's interesting. If you can have both form factors so that you can fill a variety of pens, that increases your market share there.
Batteries are changing all the time. They're proprietary systems, and so you're going to have to continue to be flexible to fill all those different types of products and vape pens. So if they can continue to do that and expand in the U.S. and Canada, they'll be set for the international market. So this next slide goes into leadership. They've got extensive team experience. So they've got the names, the positions, and then a little bio. And then, of course, you can go on LinkedIn and find out a little bit more about them.
This meets one of the requirements. Introduce the team. We've seen the product. We've seen the team. This is good so far.
So this looks like they know their target market. So dedicated to shareholder value creation. So this machine equipment provider for automation solutions in the cannabis and CBD industry, driving business success, fulfilling customers' demands beyond their expectation. So customization is good. Anytime you can automate, you're going to free up some time. And then if you can customize, that's going to be big. So The Knot is probably one of the world's largest wedding websites, and it's all about customization. And so I fully expect to see that in the pre-roll, joint, and blunt market, as well as vape carts. Any weddings, for example, should be customized and get your own. PAX is doing that too. You can bring that in and get your engraved, your name or whatever engraved on the vaporizer. So I think we'll start to see some more of that.
I think so as well, especially on some of these high-end products like PAX. It's worth it to customize and put whatever you want in it.
Mm-hmm. So there is no ask. Let's go through the 7 tips of an engaging pitch deck and see where we're at. Did they identify the business plan's goals?
Yes, they did talk about their business plan and how they are proceeding in the market. They didn't really talk about tomorrow very much, except for the business slide where they project the financials. But they didn't talk about moving into new markets, moving internationally. I didn't see a lot of tomorrow. So business plan, yes. Business plan goals, no. I'm going to give them a half point, Josh.
I would give them a half point too. I'd want to see some milestones. Obviously, you want to get into Europe and Asia. I didn't see anything about milestones for international. They did mention Canada. So I'd give them half a point for that. Did they know their audience?
I think so. With focusing on the price point, the refillability, I do believe that they did touch on their audience. Again, cost of goods sold.
I would agree with that. And they understand the market, obviously, for the point of automation and knowing that vape and concentrates are one of the biggest segments. I'd give them a point for that.
I'd give them like 3/4 of a point because they're not the only ones doing this. There was no competition. There was no discussion whatsoever outside of the folks hand filling, but there are other companies automating.
So I would say that knowing what sets the business apart might be a better spot to compare their competition.
Oh.
We're only number 3. I'm going to give them a full point. You're going to give them 3/4 of a point. So we'll see where we lie at the end. Number 4 is identify needs and roadblocks. Where do you think they landed on that? There's some needs there. Obviously, they need some money. They need to expand. But roadblocks, I didn't really see anything that's holding them back.
I did not see them address the regulatory burden in this industry at all. We have seen some states flat out ban vape cartridges, if only temporarily. They didn't address that. We've seen some questionability in the CBD market. They didn't address that. So I am going to take away half a point there.
Ditto. I would agree with that. So number 5, knowing what sets the business apart. We briefly mentioned that they didn't necessarily have a list of competitors. So I think the automation would set them apart to a certain degree, but you have to have competition there.
You always need to address your competition, even if you throw something, for example, like PAX, a big leader in the cart market, just to address there is somebody else out there doing this. Also, the fact that individuals are hand filling these, they said, okay, this is what everybody else is doing. No, I'm sorry, that is not what everyone else is doing. And if you go to a trade show like Lyft or MJ BizCon, you got rows upon rows of filling machines. I do think what sets their business apart here is that refillable tray, that razor blade thing. So I think...
Is that a benefit?
I think it's a benefit to them.
Right.
It's a benefit to an investor. I don't think it's a benefit to a business that's going to use this machine because it's a recurring purchase over time. But again, yeah, we'll see.
So did they get half a point for that?
I would give them half a point. And I see your point about putting competition in item number 5, but I also think that competition should be somewhere in understanding the market so they understand what's out there. Just a sentence would have satisfied that requirement. So half a point for number 5.
Okay. They introduced the team and the product. We give them a full point for that.
Absolutely.
But they didn't create a summary. I kind of felt like it just dropped off. I was just starting to get into it, starting to enjoy myself, about to kick up my feet, and then boom, it just ended.
Yeah, this is a missed opportunity here. They could have had a summary slide. Come on board, join automation, force cost of goods sold down, change the industry, razor blade, razor model. They missed that opportunity. They really could have ended fairly strong with a call to action and an ask, a request.
You remember in grade school when you'd raise money and you'd sell chocolates or whatever and you have that thermometer? Even something as lame as that would give you an idea that, yes, we're in the middle of raising funds. We are generating revenue. We are active, and you're about to miss out. Because as soon as this meter goes to the top, we're not asking you for anything and you're out. So that could create FOMO, but that wasn't even there. So,
yeah.
Missed opportunity.
Agreed.
4 out of 7. So we're a little over 50%. It's not bad with some adjustments. We can get even higher than that. But all in all, not a bad pitch deck. I like the idea of it. I don't know necessarily if it's going to I'm not entirely convinced that business owners are going to want to have to deal with sending a tray back and forth. I just don't know how the industry is going to handle that.
Well, we see Amazon with subscribe and save, so just auto ship it. Maybe it'll work.
So as an investor, would you ask for more information? Would you invest? Where are you lying on Convectium and their automated vape cartridge filling machine?
Based on this deck alone, without seeing the machine, without talking to anybody, I would pass, only because there's too much missing information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really like the idea. I've been looking for a fully automated solution for some of my clients, but I'm not convinced that a company is going to want to rely on a business to stay in business when so many are laying people off and so many are going out of business. That one piece concerns me because you have to rely on them in order to be a going concern for your business to use that machine indefinitely. So 4 out of 7, not bad. I like the idea. I love automation. I think there's a lot of opportunities, but time will tell whether or not customers and clients and entrepreneurs like it.
I'd like to know the price point. There was nothing in there. There wasn't even simple math. The producer can save 15 cents a cartridge. There was no information about the price point. So as you mentioned earlier, if the machine is free and the trays are really expensive, maybe. You never know. Of course, nothing is free, but some of these machines are hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I'd like to know that. And I think they should have put that in their slide, and maybe I would have bit.
Yeah, average cost, what's your break even, how much is it, how long is it going to take you to recoup your investment? All of those things are, I think, obvious metrics that you should include in any deck. But I like the concept. I think it's a great base to work off of. And they're already doing $6.5 million in revenue, so it's better than the most of the things we see.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to roll this one up. I want to thank my guest, Katrina Glogowski, an angel investor and attorney in Seattle. Thanks for being on the podcast.
Thanks, Josh.
I'm Josh Kincaid, capital markets analyst and host of your Cannabis Business Podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you don't, and I'm out.